Scientists thought they created a monster in a lab. For 13 years, nobody on Earth could beat this man. Nobody. This is the story of Aleksandr Karelin, the most feared wrestler the world has ever seen. In the frozen heart of Siberia, a baby who weighed 12 pounds was born on September 19th. Parents who were 5 feet 5 inches somehow produced a 6 feet 2 inches, 300-pound killing machine. They called him the Experiment.
Aleksandr Karelin, who was the scariest fucking wrestler of all time. They used to call him the Experiment because his parents were like normal size, like kind of tiny, like 5'7", and he's a panther. 6'2", 300 pounds, and you know what his move is?
Yikes.
He throws people around. He picks them up and beats them with the earth. And look at that picture. See that picture? Right. I have that picture framed on metal, printed on metal in the gym, just to remind me of what a pussy I am.
For over a decade, he made the world's strongest men look like children. He literally changed the rules of wrestling because he was too dominant. But here's what haunts me about Aleksandr Karelin's story. He wasn't just a brute force anomaly. He was an athlete obsessed with perfection, a man who trained until his lungs burned and his body broke, and then trained some more. From the very beginning, Karelin wasn't normal. At 12 years old, he already towered over his father and weighed 176 pounds. While other kids played video games, Karelin was in frozen forests, carrying logs, doing push-ups with grown men on his back. He trained like a machine. Pain meant nothing to him. Soviet coaches looked at this teenager and saw something that scared even them. At 18, Karelin won the Junior World Championship, and by 21 years old, he was ready to announce himself to the world. Seoul, 1988. The Olympics. The world had never seen Aleksandr Karelin. They were about to witness a slaughter. Match after match, he didn't just win, he humiliated world champions. His signature move, the reverse body lift, took 280-pound men and made them experience weightlessness before crashing them into the mat. It was a move so risky and brutal that most heavyweights didn't even attempt it, but Karelin made it look easy. He won the gold medal without losing a single point. The world was stunned, and a legend was born. In Greco-Roman wrestling, lifting a super heavyweight opponent from the mat and slamming them backwards is almost impossible. But Karelin didn't care. He did it regularly. He made it his signature. Opponents feared it. Coaches warned about it. Fans waited to see it.
A man for 13 years, nobody's even had a chance to beat him. Actually, he picked me up 3 times and threw me on my head. My feet almost hit the back of my head.
In the final, facing 4-time world champion Wrangler Gorovsky, something interesting happened. For once, Karelin was losing. The Bulgarian had him down by 3 points. That's when the monster woke up. With 55 seconds left, Karelin grabbed 280 pounds of Bulgarian and spun him like a rag doll. 3-point lead. Game over. At 20 years old, he became the youngest Olympic heavyweight champion in history. But this was just the beginning of the nightmare. For the next 4 years, Karelin didn't just win tournaments, he ended them. No opponent lasted more than 3 minutes. Every heavyweight on Earth experienced what it felt like to fly courtesy of the reverse body lift. Western journalists started calling him the Experiment.
Aleksandr Karelin, who was the scariest fucking wrestler of all time. They used to call him the Experiment.
Because they genuinely believed Soviet scientists had created him in a laboratory. His parents were normal-sized. This thing standing before them wasn't natural. Barcelona, 1992. By now, the Soviet Union had collapsed, but Karelin remained. He carried the flag for the unified team, and everyone knew what was coming. 7 minutes. That's how long his entire Olympic tournament lasted. 7 minutes to destroy every heavyweight on the planet. In the final, former world champion Thomas Jensen lasted exactly 1 throw before being pinned. The crowd barely had time to blink. 2 Olympic golds. Undefeated. Unstoppable. Having already conquered everything.
No one offered much resistance. A very quick tournament run for me. 7 minutes in total.
The 2-time Olympic champion still refused to skip a single major tournament. At the 1993 World Championships, Karelin fractured 2 ribs in his opening match. The Russian team didn't even have a doctor, no painkillers, no relief. Opponents thought they finally had their shot. They were wrong. Even injured, Karelin didn't give up an inch. Fighting through agony, he dismantled the top contenders and finished the final in the first period. By the end of the Olympic cycle, after claiming gold at 3 more World and European Championships, his body was at the breaking point. Months before Atlanta, disaster struck. A torn major pectoral muscle. Doctors told him he wouldn't lift a spoon with his right arm for a year. Karelin set his sights on a 3rd Olympic gold anyway. Training was stripped down. No sparring.
My major pectoralis muscle was torn off. Doctors said I wouldn't be able to lift a spoon with my right arm for a year.
Nowhere near peak condition, and without his signature reverse body lift, he kept winning. In the Olympic final, he faced American Matt Ghaffari, who entered to the Rocky IV soundtrack and the roar of thousands.
Ghaffari, un Américain d'origine iranienne.
After a tense, low-scoring battle, Karelin emerged victorious. From 1987 to 2000, Karelin was unbeaten for 13 years. During that time, he won 3 Olympic gold medals, 9 World Championships, and 12 European
The
Championships.
Ghaffari match was a very tough one, but I was the one attacking. I was the one pressing the issue as opposed to reacting.
He was 33 years old, a collection of scars and broken bones held together by pure will. And the wildest part, from 1993 to 2000, he didn't give up a single point, not one. Wrestlers trained for years just to survive a full match with him. Most didn't make it that far. They were crushed in minutes. 13 years as the man, and nobody even came close. Then came the Sydney Olympics. He wanted one more gold, one perfect ending to a perfect career. He cruised through the bracket like always. The final opponent, Rulane Gardner, a massive American underdog nobody had heard of. Gardner was strong, but no one expected him to win. The match was scoreless, brutal, grinding. It wasn't looking good for Karelin, and for the first time in 13 years, Aleksandr Karelin gave up a point due to a technicality. He threw everything at Gardner, every technique, every ounce of strength, every trick learned over a decade of dominance. But Gardner held on.
There's no doubt about that. He wore out Yevsechik of Israel in the semifinals. Plum wore him right out to come back from a 2-0 deficit and win in overtime to meet his dream, a matchup against Aleksandr Karelin. And this will be the key point right here. He has got to stop Karelin's offense from the top, from the bottom position. Look for Karelin to try a gut wrench, or he'll go to his patented reverse lift series.
And he has not been as successful with it in this Olympic Games as he was in the past 3. Seems like he's lost a little bit of his power, but he's going to...
Gardner answers with a great counter. Another look at it. Karelin started to get it, but you can see Gardner moving on the bottom. An active defense is how you stop that lift, and Gardner did it well.
Rulon Gardner is in the blue singlet. Aleksandr Karelin is in the red singlet. Karelin has had 9 world championships, and this is his 4th shot at the Olympic gold. The only other wrestler in the world who had a record like this was the USA's Bruce Baumgartner, who competed in freestyle wrestling. He also had 13 world and Olympic medals, but they weren't all gold.
And they've started in the clinch position. Karelin won the toss. After a minute, if Karelin has not scored, he will be cautioned and penalized a point. If you can throw your opponent and score, those points go up on the board, and Karelin broke his grip. There was a break in the grip by Karelin that I saw.
Well,
how are they going to score it? How are they going to score it? They were probably going to look at the video. 2 of the 3 officials can't decide. They're already signaling. The chairman's already signaling to come over to the head table. A critical position.
Jeff, Gardner's hand slipped off the head, but he did not unlock.
And he's proving it.
2 minutes and 20 seconds to go in the overtime. You almost sense that Karelin will have to do something a little bit risky to get in this match. And right now, the mood, people, do they want to see somebody like Karelin win? Do they want to see someone like Karelin lose, Jeff? Oh my! Do you believe in miracles again? Rulon Gardner has upset the king!
Ladies and gentlemen, for gold medal,
Who would have ever thought, other than maybe Rulon Gardner, that this was even possible?
When I talked to Gardner, he seemed genuine in his belief that he could beat Alexander the Great. He obviously never wavered in that belief.
Look, he's still got energy. Aleksandr Karelin has been dominant for so long.
And finally, the experiment had failed. Karelin retired immediately. No drama. He moved into politics, earned a doctorate, and spent his time building up the next generation. 2 decades later, no one has matched what Aleksandr Karelin accomplished. The experiment proved that even from the frozen corners of Siberia, you can become immortal. He once said, "Strength isn't in the muscles, it's in your mind, in your will. That's what wins battles." And he meant it. It wasn't just his 6 feet 3 inches, 130 kilo frame. It wasn't just the freakish power. It was the mindset, the discipline, the ability to train harder, longer, and more brutally than anyone else. They called him the Experiment, the Russian Bear, the king of Greco-Roman wrestling. And they were right. To this day, no one has matched his dominance. He redefined what the human body and mind can do. 13 years undefeated, 3 Olympic golds, 9 world titles, hundreds of broken dreams. The greatest wrestler the sport has ever seen.